right, we're going to do.
All right, welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody, for the week of November 22nd. I'm Ryan Miller, and the visitor himself is Matt Amberg.
I'm the turkey.
Are you referring to how Lance Henriksen refers to this movie? Or is this...
Oh,
no, you're referring to this week, right? Of course, this is Thanksgiving week. I've heard of that.
For people here in this United State, we do a turkey on Thursday.
People will be happy to know that we're continuing our tradition of not remembering when holidays are and just pushing ahead with recording. Like, I feel like every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, we're like, most everybody takes the week off, and we're just like, it's another Monday, even though it's Thursday.
and then we end up having the discussion of, oh, dude, like either a few hours before or
while I'm editing the show on Thanksgiving Day, I'm like, maybe, I don't know.
Am I supposed to be doing something right now? I don't know, as you're sitting there just shoveling pumpkin pie into your face.
Oh, man, can't wait. On Book Club for Movies, where we watch one movie a week and then we tell you about it. Or sometimes we don't know and we do it here just right at the top and you find out. In fact, I don't think I've even posted. Actually, that's not true. We posted in the Discord. So if you haven't joined, maybe join there and you'll get the scoop, or you'll get the movie bot that does the poster or whatever. I don't even know. You handle all that stuff.
I hate it. That movie bot sucks. I need to change it.
We are doing The Visitor this week. Maybe you've already seen it. It's pretty popular. If you haven't, Matt has a synopsis that'll get you through it.
I do. It's going to go like this. And by the way, it's going to be equally as good as the film. So,
I don't know about that.
You're right. The film is better.
Oh, boy.
The Visitor, coming at you an hour and 48 minutes. Written by Luciano Comici and Robert Mundi. Directed by Giulio Paradisi. Starring Mel Ferrer, Glenn Ford, John Huston, Lance Henriksen, Shelley Winters, Joanne Nail, Sam Peckinpah, and Paige Connor. Here is your Book Club for Movies synopsis for how did this movie ever
you can't say that. Nope, you can't.
Here's your Book Club for Movies synopsis for not understanding how movies like this exist.
Okay, that's good. That's like the non-infringing recreation. You should get a song that's close to what they use, but not
What's
quite.
up, jorks?
That's another...
A young girl with telekinetic powers becomes a beacon for a group of Satanists who hope they can convince her mother to have another baby, bringing about the intergalactic entity of evil known as Zatine.
Thank you for pronouncing that correctly. And if none of those jokes right there up front made any sense, it's because we were referring to How Did This Get Made, which... Was that how you came to this movie?
I had seen this cover before in my life. Never had any interest in seeing the movie. Didn't know anything about it.
Even after that cover?
Yeah, the cover is great. It's just one of those like,
it's an eyeball, man.
It's an eyeball. There's triangles, you know. But yeah, I did not know anything about it until I listened to How Did This Get Made, which, don't listen to that show. Listen to our show instead.
No, that's fine. I mean, they don't need
exactly. They don't need anything.
It would be nice if they shouted us out, but no, that's a good, fine, and it's sometimes brilliant show. That's not a show I listen to on the reg.
It takes I listen to specific movies. I can't, because they do a lot of things that like I'm not interested in
fact,
so
let's do this. Yeah, a qualified recommendation. Listen to the live shows first. That's technically what I do, because Mantzoukas is a phenomenon live. I mean, he's obviously in all of his stuff. I cannot think of a single thing where I don't like him, but live, he is so like
one
of the greats.
He's so quick, dude. He's just so smart.
It's crazy.
But yeah, I hadn't heard of the movie. They mentioned it, and I listened to about. There's actually, I know exactly the point where I listened to in terms of the movie. Okay,
so you listen to the shows without having seen the movie sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm total opposite. I can't, like, if I see they've done a movie, I have to go watch the movie first, and then I'll listen to the show. So
I mean, it's rare because I don't. Again, I'm picky about it, so it's like I don't go after movies that I don't know about. Typically, in that case, it's one of those though. But I'm subscribed to their podcast, so it just played in the order that it played, and it was the next one.
Gotcha.
So I listened to it, and I'm listening to this, and Beth is listening to this with me as we're doing chores and stuff. And they get to a specific point in the movie where something happens, and I went, okay, that's it, I'm done. I gotta
Yep,
watch
okay,
this.
I've done that before, certainly, yeah.
And so we went and watched it, and then went, what?
It probably still didn't do it justice, I'm guessing.
And then I finished the episode, the how did this get made? And I went, okay. And then we watched it again, and I am still at a loss.
Yeah, I can't imagine that helped at all.
No, it didn't.
And also, what doesn't help when it comes to this thing, there's not a whole lot out there about it. And I think it might be because of its Italian roots. There's probably a bit lost in translation. And these guys, although while still alive, haven't talked about it, or it hasn't been translated much, or it just... this has become a cult classic at best. So maybe it's just that fact that it's not necessarily the best movie,
I mean, like,
bar none, or as traditionally defined. There just isn't a whole lot out there about it.
No, and to be fair, when you go through that cast list again, Mel Ferrer, Glenn Ford, John Huston, and Sam Peckinpah, taking out Lance Henriksen and Shelley Winters, who have huge careers of their own. But
right.
those four guys are like their cinematic royalty.
Right.
Like, Peckinpah, Huston, directors upon directors, Glenn Ford, one of the great cowboys, Mel Ferrer, again, following through all that stuff. His family, too, another one of those families that has his son was a great actor, too.
I mean, now that you say it out loud, I wonder if they came into this somehow by way of the spaghetti western stuff. Like, would that be because this is still largely an Italian, maybe an Italian American production, you could say.
You could say that. I would say it's probably more Italian than anything.
Yeah. So I wonder, given their history, given what they have directed, I feel like they dabbled in some of that. Maybe that's, I don't know. Conjecture at this point.
Yeah, the only, like, I have circled around as many concept and ideas as I could, and I come back to, how did all of these guys, like, all Mel Ferrer, Glenn Ford, John Huston, Sam Peckinpah, seriously,
no matter how many times you say it, it still doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. All of them must have been in a situation like it's that I can't remember the name of the movie, but there's a movie with Christian Slater and a bunch of other people. They kill a dude in like Las Vegas, and they're like, we don't know what to do with him, so they bury him, and the whole movie is that.
Wait, it's not the Tarantino or Rodriguez? What is that?
No. This was a really, okay. Now you've got me looking.
What is that actual movie? Because I'm already in the hole from not remembering that. True Romance.
True Romance was Tarantino wrote it, but directed by Tony Scott.
Okay, I think that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, that's not the one you're thinking of.
It's definitely not. I would not forget that. It also had Piven, I think, was in it too, and it's called Very Bad Things. Yeah. So they're having a bachelor party. The prostitute gets killed, and then the wedding is coming up, and Christian Slater, Daniel Stern, Jon Favreau, Leland Orser.
And Jeremy Piven? You're sure this isn't a documentary?
Along with early Cameron Diaz. Oh, by the way, Cameron Diaz, Jeannie Triplehorn, written and directed by Pete Berg. Oh,
sure.
Crazy.
Love me Pete Berg.
Big fan. This is but the whole movie, like, that's what I imagine, is that those four guys, they killed somebody. Somehow, the writer of this movie, The Visitor, found out and was like, hey, look, I'm going to let you go, but you got to make him a movie.
Oh, no. That's sooner than I thought the Mario impression would come, but you know what? Okay. You mentioned the writer, and that is maybe the only, actually, it's not. The producer, actually, no. Is he also credited as a writer?
Mundi?
No, Assonitis, Ovidio Assonitis. He is also credited as a writer, but he's also, I don't know if he's producer on this particular film as well, but he is mostly a producer in his life and is the maybe guiding light to some of the history about this film, The Visitor. And the director himself, besides palling around with Fellini for a bit before directing some, kind of disappears in 1982. Giulio Paradisi, who is credited as Michael J. Paradise.
Michael J.
Movie.
Paradise.
Yeah, good call. But the Sonitis, the producer or writer on this thing, I think more writer than producer on this thing, but was a producer already when he began in the mid-60s. In fact, there was a 10-year period, to give you just an idea of the type of producer he might have been. There was a 10-year period where he released 900 films.
Yes. That guy is rolling on the Roger Corman Express right there.
Yes, he was even part of a relaunch of Canon Films at one point. There
we go.
Very much in that vein. But when it came to the 70s, he had his hands in a couple different things. He did a giallo. He did a cannibal. A cannibal. A Cannibal Run. A Cannibal is kind of the party you go to.
Cannibal Run is a different Burt Reynolds movie, but equally interesting.
I bet it is. I didn't know that the Italian cannibal was a genre of films.
Oh, sure. But... So you get into that's where you get into Cannibal Ferox and you get into Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, I've heard of that one. Hey, check it out.
That movie, it's the one of the most I can't even say overrated, because I feel like anytime anybody watches it, they go, that was not a good movie. It was, and that's the thing. Cannibal Holocaust is an incredible exercise in excess and marketing. The movie is terrible. It's not a good movie. There is one moment that is an utterly glorious, phenomenal effect that is done. And it's great. It is gross and fantastic and it looks real. But the movie is completely plays upon the idea and the reality that the actors went to a foreign country. They filmed all this stuff. The actors actually killed a bunch of animals to eat them. So they kill and they show it on screen.
Sure.
Especially
which not technically cannibalism.
No.
Are they saying it's people in the film? Is that?
No. They actually, so they kill some turtles and stuff and eat them. But then they do eat people.
It's fine. You're proving my point. I think this is all instructive of where we're going with who he is and what he did. He approaches the big leagues when he tries to buy the Exorcist script from Mr. Blatty. I always forget his first name because his last name's so memorable.
William
Peter Blatty. Yeah, thank you. And is denied, does not get the Exorcist, so decides to do his own, essentially. And it does pretty well. It's called Beyond the Door. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Beyond the Door.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was him. That was his Exorcist take when he couldn't get the original. And it did good. It did, The Exorcist also did quite well. So, in fact, you'll hear people talk about that movie in relation to The Visitor also, just pulling lots of things from the zeitgeist at the time. This movie, The Visitor, will be, but we'll get there. After Jaws hits it big, he makes Tentacles. I don't know if you've heard of this one.
I'm sure I've seen it on TV at some point.
Also has John Huston and Shelley Winters in it, and did pretty darn well.
This guy saw somebody kill somebody. That's it. That's all I'm saying. He watched John Huston murder a man with his own hands.
Okay, so he is making a living by doing these knockoffs, essentially. He knows where his bread is buttered, I think, and is, by all accounts, doing pretty good knockoffs. I don't even know if this... I feel like nowadays, these aren't even, laughably good. Although, Piranha or whatever, I forget, Sharknado have reached, a certain level. There are still... knockoffs that I feel like don't even approach the quality of what he knew to do at this time.
To be fair, he did produce Piranha 2, so he was aware.
Maybe that's where I got that, actually.
Which also had Lance Henriksen, by the way.
Piranha did? Really?
Piranha 2.
Oh, hey. All right. Sorry. Yeah. Did he do? That was the other thing he liked to do. He very much a businessman, I think is what I'm getting to, is that he would often know to go and rename movies as sequels, even if they weren't to boost their, and probably this is, he can do this because some of these are coming from overseas as well. Anywho, he gets a script from a man named Lou Camisi, who I thought I recognized, but if I did, it was from his later work on Due South or Walker, Texas Ranger, which I don't think...
Due South is a title I have not thought about probably since it came out.
Pretty good, right?
Wow.
But no, and why Asonitis is credited as a writer is because he largely rewrote Camisi's script for The Visitor.
So he's to blame. Got it.
Well, man, I don't. That's yeah. Who's to blame for the visitor? Maybe that's what we get into at this point. We probably shouldn't go step by step with this thing.
I don't even know.
Well,
so okay, here's how we're gonna do this. So number one, as I think you've delightfully laid out here, this movie is extremely Italian. So
is that what's going on?
I do think a good chunk of this comes from that kind of crossover of this is real Italian, like this is wicked Italian movie, man. Like this is. I don't know how much translation occurred with the actual dialogue, or if they just had somebody that spoke Italian said, here's generally what you do, go. So part of it being, this is ostensibly a foreign film with American actors filmed in English. So that's part of it.
That's pretty good, actually. That's helping.
The other thing is, this is a movie with that I don't know. This is obviously this is supposed to be a Christ versus the devil thing. I mean, the good guy is named Yahweh. The bad guy's name is Zatin.
Oh, Jersey Yahweh. You mean? Or no. What?
No. That's Jersey.
You're right.
Jerzyk something, and he's just
Jerzyk.
Yeah.
No, it's Jersey, man. It's Jersey Kalsowitz.
Kalsowitz. That's right.
But you're right. It's not the Yahweh.
No. Yahweh is like we don't even see Yahweh. Yahweh is like, so the movie is ostensibly intergalactic God, intergalactic devil have been fighting for, ever. And at some point, Zatin had come to Earth.
Satan, if you will. Maybe.
I will not.
Even though it's spelled like, it's funny because they went to the trouble of spelling it like Zateen, which if I saw, I don't know if I'd make the connection immediately. But then when they say it, it's Satin.
Satin.
And then even when some people say it, it's just satin. So
which,
you're like,
which makes me then think of that friggin' movie. Oh, wow, my brain.
It's okay. It's all right.
It makes me think of Stay Tuned.
This movie is going to make you think of a lot of other different movies. Like
better movie. Yeah,
which, by the way, why it contains all this space religion stuff is because the original script from Comisi was more of an exorcist take. It had a demon child that was exorcised by I believe a priest from Poland or something like that. So
this is all making sense.
Yes, Asonitis, who was currently, actually that's not true, I don't know if he was currently in a lawsuit with Warner Brothers, but Warner Brothers had sued him for Beyond the Door after it came out.
Sure.
So he was very careful to not do this again in one way or the other, and he had already released an Exorcist clone maybe. So yes, when he rewrote the script, he put a lot of space and other stuff in it, but that's Clearly. Why some of it still contains demons. And
so it's an intergalactic god, intergalactic demon. The demon had come to Earth, impregnated some women, so there was a lineage. The Yahweh came and destroyed it and pushed the evil away. And now there's this other intergalactic group that is paying attention to Earth. Maybe they're supposed to be angels. That's kind of what I was assuming they are, is that like, so Jersey, sure, Jersey, yeah. and what's the other character's name?
Is there another good guy?
He might not have had a name. Well, yeah, it was not Peckinpah.
You talking about the dude from the beginning?
Yeah, who was it? It was
describing this movie to other people.
Franco Nero. That's right. It's
yes,
Franco Nero.
Okay. So that's the guy from the beginning who's kind of laying all this out, which, by the way, when he does that at the beginning of this film, my grand takeaway from that, because he lays the whole story out that you just mentioned, my grand takeaway by the end of that is, you know what? You can really start a movie however you want. You can really just do you might have to dig yourself out of the hole somewhere along the line if you're not this movie, if you care about that. But man, you can really just say anything and do, like, the visuals also at this point are they're kind of cool, maybe
super
that's
weird.
Where most Italian part of this is coming from, but it's like this smoky stuff. Oh, that's true.
The music is tremendously bad.
But it's bad, but this is going to be as messed up as the film is.
This
and out
movie,
of order.
though, is how do you watch this movie and not just kind of from that beginning go, okay, well now I got to know what the hell I'm watching. Trying to get through it at every moment, every step of the way, and you question yourself even further.
It's amazing. That's the other thing I came to was like, if this were a comedy, like one of those things when you're writing a comedy, they're like, you try and have a joke on every page. You want to, and every page is about a minute when it comes to screen time. So like you want to have the audience laughing about, every minute, or you wanted jokes and rhythm and rising and falling, whatever it is. If this were a comedy, it would be a pretty darn good comedy because literally it builds and builds, and right when you think, what in the heck, there's another one. And you're like, what in the... If it was done on purpose, it would be flat out brilliant. The amount of things that you're just like, how are we here now? Why?
So let's... I want to break down a couple things here. So the movie ostensibly is... There's an 8-year-old girl who shows some telekinetic ability. Her mother is dating Lance Henriksen, who is the owner of a basketball team that somehow has a ton of money, and his entire...
That's his introduction, is at the basketball game.
And his entire goal is just to have a successful basketball team and make money. So he is now, like, we find out he's asked in one of the after game interviews, where do you get your money? And he's cagey, and then he says, from God. We're immediately introduced to some weird group of Satanists.
Wait.
I'm sorry. I'm jumping. I know.
That basketball game ends with the basketballs exploding.
Oh, that's right.
Which leads to the subject of pillow talk between Henriksen. Like the game ends with the balls exploding as one of the teams is about to make the winning shot. And then we cut to them in bed, and it becomes the subject of pillow talk in the sense that she says something along the lines of, I just can't stop thinking about those balls exploding. Giggle, giggle, giggle. And then that's all. Like, it's still the game ended with the balls exploding, and they just let the game end and everybody went home.
And there's no concern. There's no thought about it.
Anyway. Oh, by the way, because they were psychically exploded by the daughter of the woman, because the woman who has the Satan DNA, all of her offspring does as well, because where you're going is that Henriksen is part of a cabal.
Yes, of Satanists.
Sorry, I interrupted. Please continue.
Well, no, so ultimately we find out the Satanists are like, hey, so we got you hooked up with this lady. She got a devil kid, but we need you to have another kid. She needs to have a boy. So come on. So then the movie is him trying to seduce his girlfriend, who has no interest apparently in him having intercourse, having children. Like, she's just like, no, I'm good. This jumps forward. So we're going to jump forward even further because we're going to get to the moment of...
It's going to... Well, even if we didn't, it would sound like we were jumping forward.
So the moment that forced me to stop the How Did This Get Made podcast and start watching this movie is the birthday party.
Which is still first act, technically. Like, maybe 20 minutes in.
So
maybe.
So this girl's the psychic girl or telekinetic girl is having a birthday. Katie is having a birthday party. She has a bunch of people over at this giant house. I am going to describe this exactly as is because it does not make sense.
Oh, we're underplaying all of this.
She has a table of presents that she's facing people and have been opening. She takes one present and runs away into another room, running towards the camera, away from everybody. Nobody asking about this. She pops open the box. What's in there? A handgun. Fully loaded handgun. Yeah,
that's right. And it's fully loaded. Well, I guess they do treat this as a crime, so that's not necessarily weird, but yes, okay, sorry.
She's given this, and then she goes, look what I got. I'm not even kidding. She says, look at what I got, and then throws the box with the handgun onto the table. It hits, the gun goes off, shooting her mother in the spine, paralyzing her for the rest of the film. And the very next scene we get with the mother is her being happily wheeled back into the house.
Oh, yeah.
Just joyful as all get out. Great. I get to get on my new escalator that takes me up the stairs, my little chair
Katie,
escalator.
stop playing on that thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're into paralyzations, but you hate all the messy emotional stuff afterwards in like every movie that ever does it right, this is it, man. She does not she's arguably happier after.
She's like, you know what? I don't have these stupid legs tiring me out anymore.
She is way better off. She is into it. Maybe this is very paralysis positive. Maybe that's what's going on here. Actually,
that could be it.
Your life is not over.
This is life just began. So, so Lance Henriksen then wants Katie to come to the games and help his team win the games so that they can win their championship, because again, he just wants money. Eventually, Shelley Winters shows up as the new maid for the mother, and Shelley Winters is immediately like, oh, well, that kid's the devil. Like right away.
Yes, no, Shelley Winters, fantastic.
Again, great. Showing up, doing her thing, being extremely Shelley Winters. Beth and I had a funny conversation. We were like, how the hell did Shelley Winters become a thing? She's not a good actor.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, again, in comparison to this, but she wasn't like, I can't think of any movies where I loved Shelley Winters. Like, she's fine, she's great, but she's Shelley Winters.
But I guess I don't trust myself with the breadth of Shelley Winters' knowledge that a proper critic should have. I guess I don't know.
That might be the case. So they eventually Barbara ends up getting pregnant. Right, the mother gets pregnant. They.
Again, you're skipping ahead, but who can tell? And what does it matter?
What does it matter? I don't know. She's pregnant. There's the Jersey guy is still popping in and out of town here going, hey, what's up? Here's my bald weird kids that came from another world.
Okay, sure. Jersey appearances. I feel like pretty close to the birthday party. We get Katie at the skating rink where she's causing all sorts of havoc.
She's a scamp in that skating rink.
Yeah, intercut with Jersey, John Huston, the angel, I guess, or head of the angels, making his way down an escalator for the entire scene.
That escalator lasts for like an hour.
Which fantastically cinematic. In fact, a lot of the images in this movie aren't horrible at all. Like they're pretty, like not even in just an art house film type way, you know, like Italian crossover, whatever that is, but like legitimately good looking. And that escalator is one of them, which I found out, let me see here. That is, in fact, the world's longest freestanding escalator that only goes up, actually, which get this. So they had to turn it off so he could go down. And I never even, like that never clicked among all of the things in the film. It never clicked to me that why is he walking down a stopped escalator for this entire scene? Which,
again, it takes forever too. The scene, like it keeps going back to him. And it's that moment in movies where it's like, okay, they're from far away, so we're going to cut to them and show every couple of moments how close they get to us, but they never move.
Oh, it's a great buildup. No, well, not only does he never move, he never gets to the end of the stairs. He never gets down to the skating rink. In fact, I want to say the final shot where he must have got to a midway point and then goes on to a balcony to look at her again. I think it's the same one from the start. So really, it looks like he hasn't gone anywhere in between, the 10 minutes of going down the staircase, it seems like.
We didn't get payoff. What was at the bottom of the stairs?
No payoff to going down the stairs. It doesn't reach the end of the stairs.
I don't understand. It must be an Italian thing. We don't show the stairs.
But that's the Jersey appearance that I feel like stands out in my mind. I don't know if you were headed towards another there.
No. You that's absolutely, like, again, we go through this and then like Glenn Ford shows up. He's the cop investigating the deaths. He gets killed by the Satanists in a car accident.
Well, he showed up to investigate where the gun came from, which amazingly, that is treated like a crime. Like they are trying to figure out how the gun got into her birthday present, and like, yeah, amazingly enough, that's not just a thing that happens before we go on to the next thing, right?
I mean, it might as well have been.
It might as well have been, but yes, he does end up. I mean, his whole arc is what? 10 minutes?
10 minutes, yeah. He's like, hey, I'm Glenn Ford, dead. So the mother gets pregnant. She then goes to Sam Peckinpah, who's the doctor for an abortion.
Well, it was her ex-husband too.
Her ex, right?
Don't forget.
And then she goes back home, and the Satanists are like, "You did wrong."
Wait.
Oh no, keep going.
Peckinpah couldn't remember his lines, so he is actually ADR'd by somebody else entirely. Which is why, and this is the thing. The ADR is so bad. He's dubbed so poorly that there is hardly any matching between,
not even an attempt,
the way their lips are moving and their movements and what they're saying. But everything else is kind of so similar in that off the wall, the way that by time I get to this point, and my gosh, we were probably past the halfway point, at least now, finally.
Yes.
I'm like, you know what this movie is, if it's anything, is that it is still emergent. And I know we use that when we talk about video games a lot, and that comes from there being so many things going on that oftentimes something will emerge that's, greater than the sum of its parts.
Sure.
This movie has that, right? Something is emerging out of all of this to me, even just artistically, even though this is straight up bad. Like, this is bad ADR and bad whatever matchup, and I don't know if it's bad directing is the weird thing. But it is bad, but it's becoming something more, and not even just in this cult classic way that I'm like, this is still, because also speaking of directing, the camera kind of never stops moving. Like, it is really restless for honestly probably no reason.
Yeah.
But it makes it a restless movie that kind of works in an outstanding way. In the same way that this bad ADR also works. It's, again, I'm this is probably halfway me, but still.
No. I mean, you're hitting on things that I think stand out to. I think this is where when you a lot of the things you're talking about they're the evolution of the B movie, where the B movie was originally, it was never intended to be the big Oscar winner, but it was intended to be something fun, campy, pulpy, whatever, to see in the theater. This seems like an evolution of just that thought process.
I like that, actually. Yeah, in fact, considering what we just mentioned about Assonites too, like we solved another film.
We figured it out.
We figured out The Visitor. No, I'm not gonna
we
go
are the
that
ones
far,
we did it.
That's ridiculous.
So we're gonna jump to the end here, because if
jump to whatever. Yeah, I've got a few more
s-
things I must mention, but yeah,
if I absolutely do not get this off of my chest, the ending with Lance Henriksen's death is, I'm not even gonna get into all of this. I'm just gonna leave this chunk here.
Okay.
Jersey shows up with a whole hell of a lot of birds that start attacking Katie.
Well, the birds, I assume they're the cartoon birds that came from when all of the light orbs converged and exploded in the sky.
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay, right.
That's it was either that,
I mean,
or
the audience probably assumed that's what we were talking about.
Either that or the basketballs, wherever they came from.
If they would have brought that back, that would have been mind-blowing. I would have been like, that mattered? No one, like, holy crap.
The basketball bursts into birds. So all of these birds show up, and boy, are the effects really great. One of them, they just really focus on this bird that is clearly like, it's made of resin or plastic. It doesn't flap its wings.
It's a statue. Were they trying to hide that? Wait.
No, I don't think so. But it just circles around in a circle for a little while. Then Lance Henriksen, who I have to assume they put the camera on him and they said, "Hey, Lance, there's birds over there. Action." And he was like, and they just used the natural confusion of what he was told. Because, and then he's standing there, and this plastic bird that does not move is set directly in front of him, not moving. A blade suddenly.
They have a face-off.
Yeah, they have a face-off, and a knife comes out of like its beak or something.
I think it's just his beak, but yeah, sure.
No. It gets a knife.
He produces a switchblade in his wing, and it's like.
I'm saying, but it is. Go back and watch it. There's a knife. The bird has like a knife.
I will.
It pops out, and then the bird stabs Lance Henriksen in the neck, and that's it.
Right in the carotid.
There's no like, it's just here, bird dead. And then the rest of
might
the
be the
birds,
last we see of Henriksen. Also,
It is.
I think that's okay.
And then the birds maul Katie to death while mom is saved by Jersey. Flash to heaven, and now Katie is bald like everybody else.
Oh yeah. By the way, there's a bunch of bald kids running around, which
They're
okay.
They're like, again, Angel Juniors.
Well, okay. This is my thought. By the end, since Katie is bald, am I to believe that all of those are ex-demon kids that they've saved?
Oh, interesting. I didn't think about that. That's nice. Yeah.
Because it's the same scene from the beginning of the film. They're bookended, right? We get it's
Franco Nero.
Franco Nero giving us all the backstory about the space devils things, and then at the end, Jersey walks in and he says something like, "Yeah, I wouldn't kill a kid. That's unthinkable." And it's Katie and she's bald and
she's smiling, and the evil has been cleansed.
But then all the bald kids also show up as bald adults while on Earth.
Yeah. Well,
you just said and
yeah. Well, when you're bald as a kid, you're bald as an adult. What are you getting at?
Broken us. Everything is normal. Everything is permitted. Nothing is whatever. I can't remember.
Everything is true. Nothing is permitted. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted.
This is a better movie than the Assassin's Creed movie.
The one with Magneto, was it Magneto?
Is there more than one? There cannot be more than one. Tell me they haven't made. They could have. Is the sad thing. They could have made 3 more Assassin's Creed movies, and I would not know about them. And you could say that they
because they're the same movie.
That's the problem with the Visitors in this possibility space. There's no boundaries.
That's the problem.
Oh, that is one of the problems. You want to hear about more of the problems?
Yeah, hit me up with what else did you have? Because again, this movie is just a treasure trove.
So if you're curious as to the general stylings of the direction of this film, I would say it's closest to an episode of The Californians. If you're an SNL fan. And yes,
I'm going to take the 5 to the 220.
Not only that, but just some of the camera movements and the blank stares and I am not joking in the least.
I can see it.
But check that out. Also, I can't imagine this was really hard to edit after the fact, since you could do anything. Because there are moments where I'm sure they must have not had coverage and then didn't need it. Because I can just as easily put a clip of a bird in here. You know, there's Squeaks. Is that his name? The bird, the star bird?
Yeah.
Squeaky or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
You can always put a shot of him in.
Why not?
You know, and they do.
This movie did teach me an editing about when it comes to making movies. Like, if anything, this movie did push me further into wanting to make my own movie, because now I do know exactly that. Oh, something didn't get filmed quite right? Cool, just show some random animal. And then say that animal is important.
This is the most inspirational movie maybe we've ever done, is what we're landing on.
You want to make a movie, Ryan? Let's do it. I think it's time. I think all
The Visitor 2.
I think all
Can we get the rights?
If we walked up to the guy with money, any amount of money, in American, I'm sure he'd be like, sold.
Astonitis is alive. Dude is alive. He's 78 years old.
Let's call him.
All right.
We'll see if we can get him on the show.
It's on.
I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna see if he's got a Twitter.
Do it. You're killing it at Twitter. You're like the master. I mean this in a good way. Very good at Twitter lately. So why not?
I don't know. I'm gonna try it.
The best line in the entire film that I must mention that you've just forgotten about because you can't. It's, for most people, I would imagine, something they try to forget about, something you couldn't remember maybe if you tried, but I wrote it down. So.
No, I have a favorite line from the movie, and I guarantee you it's a different one.
Really?
Yes, but
what's yours, Matt?
No, what's yours?
Okay, all right. Well, Jersey shows up at one point as the babysitter. I don't know if he's done something with the actual babysitter, but he shows up while Lance Henriksen and the...
Barbara,
Joanne Nail, I almost said Neil, but it's actually Nail. Joanne Nail are going out on a date. And Henriksen's like, "You're the babysitter?" And he's like, "Yes, I am. It's weird. I get that all the time." That's pretty much all it takes. Come on in.
I did love that too. "You're the babysitter?" Yeah. Okay, you're like 100 years old. Come on in.
I get that a lot. Yeah.
Sure.
So They leave, and then in the car are remarking on how weird it is that the babysitter was so old. And the wife says, this isn't your favorite line, obviously, or you would be finishing my sentences for me. The wife says, ha, 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 ha. Do you think he's a child molester? Like,
you know what's funny?
Seriously. Until oh, I can't tell if this show is going to be annoying or not.
No, it's going to be the best show we've ever done.
Until the next line she says is still flirtatiously to him, like, oh, I don't know. Are you a cripple molester?
Are you a cripple molester? I forgot.
Because she is ostensibly, or at least in her eyes, in the character's eyes in the movie, now a cripple, having been paralyzed. But again, just so okay with it. And but also she's the one that has been putting the block on Henriksen for the whole film. So
the whole movie, yeah.
It's a tease. It's a poor tease at the very least. But yes, are you a cripple molester? Henriksen takes it in stride.
Which is how every man would. They'd be like,
wouldn't you? I was done at that. I was like, anything could happen. Anything could happen. That's what this film does to you. Anything can happen. It's Disneyland in a bottle, everybody. What's your favorite line?
It is. It's totally a Katie line. She's, 8-year-old Katie. And look, kid swearing is universally funny to me. But she at one point she's like at school or something. I don't remember where she is, but they're outside and somebody asks her about something. And I just remember her response is, I don't know, why don't you go
something like that. Apparently she had a hard time delivering that to the detective, Glenn Ford. Sorry.
To Glenn Ford. It was so funny though, like the way, because she's like laughing at everything when she says it. And Beth that moment, Beth died. She was like, I have got to start responding to people like that. Yeah. This movie. Hey, one more time, just for the sake of reminder.
Okay.
This movie starred Mel Ferrer, Glenn Ford, John Huston, Sam Peckinpah, and nobody knows.
Still doesn't help.
Yeah.
Did you catch the product placements? Also,
I did not. Was I supposed to?
Well, there's a moment where Shelley Winters, the maid, Mama loves shortening, told the mother, or no, maybe this is when she was speaking with Katie actually, and said point blank that she's evil and slapped her a few times. I can't remember if it was Katie or the mother. Either way, the discussion was about how evil Katie is. And there's just a big bright, because it's also a lamp, so it is lit and or providing the light, maybe not actually on the set, but at least in the frame.
Yeah.
The 7-Up lamp? No? Didn't.
Oh, is that? I totally didn't even just.
One of those big old 7-Up lamps?
Again, this movie is a train wreck that sometimes you have to look away.
That's true. So you're going to miss some of the bodies when you look at a train wreck. You're going to be like, or they'll be unrecognizable in some way. The 7-Up lamp might have been just that. Although when I did see it, I thought, maybe he just doesn't care. That's not a detail that he looks at and is like, oh, the 7-Up lamp, or it was straight up product placement. I don't know. But then when later on, Barbara is being chased by Squeaky the bird and chases her into the room and where she shuts the door. And then the bird knows how to use door handles.
To use the door handle.
And so he's trying to get in, but then it stops moving, but then the handle starts moving slowly. And I'm like praying at this point. I'm like, please, Jersey above, tell me the bird is slowly turning the door handle, but he's not. It's the maid again. And behind her is the 7-Up lamp. Again,
yeah.
just even bigger in the frame than before. So at that point, I'm like,
maybe he was maybe they were hoping for product placement.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he sent this to 7-Up after the fact and was like, one or the other, pay me or I'll release it or I will not release it.
Yeah, that's right. It was a threat. 7-Up, we're going to ruin your drink.
I've got your lamp. Pay me $5,000. It was probably a very small sum too. Like pay me $500.
I just need to get enough money to get one more advert out for this film.
I think I'm out. You've already mentioned the ending, but there's honestly 3 or 4 of them. where it seems like, oh, mission accomplished. No, wait, and then, oh, okay, this is the end, and then no, this is
this is it. This movie is it's a challenge, and I think everybody should put themselves up to the challenge to see how far can you get into this movie before you either die laughing or realize that you're watching true art. Like which is it? I don't know.
We may never know is the thing. It's the possibility space is infinite.
Yeah. Think of this movie as a Tootsie Pop. You'll never know how many licks it takes to get to the center, but boy, take a big bite and
watch it. Like that is the strange thing. I am highly recommending this movie.
I would say watch this movie too. If you are depressed, put this movie on. If you're really happy, put this movie on. If you are incredibly intoxicated, put this movie on.
Oh.
If you're all three of those things, this is basically the only movie you should be watching. It is currently streaming on Shudder.
Oh, good.
So you can find it there easily. Draft House Films actually re-released this, I guess. That's how it came back out, was because of Draft House Films.
Yes. Well, so I guess the whole story was that the American release was done by American International Pictures, and they recut it. And while it did okay, I guess, overseas, it completely bombed in the States. But yeah, when Draft House got it, they re-released the European cut. So we've seen the European cut of the film.
This is the only other movie that could possibly rival this, and also happened to have been done on How Did This Get Made, was also a Joe Bob episode. We are not going to do an episode on it, I don't think, but it was Tammy and the T-Rex. Like that was.
Oh sure. Oh, you've talked about that for the rest of the show. I
have it, but it's same thing. Like crazy weird cuts. There are multiple cuts to it, and the gore cut, the good cut, was finally released like last year or so.
Okay.
Always weird, man. The Visitor. 1979's The Visitor.
Oh, by the way, Assonitis went on to produce The Curse, that Will Wheaton Color Out of Space movie that you might have heard of.
The Curse.
Lambada, American Ninja 4.
All right, now we're talking.
Which I have queued up, by the way. I will be watching the American Ninja movies.
So I fun fact, watched all of those along with like basically everything else that ever came out in that particular era, because it was always on Showtime. That stuff was like on TV all the time during the weekends and at night, and I would just leave it on. And as a kid, when I had the opportunity, and that's what I watched. Like it was just, that's it. American Ninja.
Fantastic. The biggest thing that Assonitis did that you probably heard of is actually Son of a Woman. He wanted to do. Yeah. Got some Academy Awards for it even.
Hey.
All's well that ends well, I guess, for The Visitor, which gets a cool 239 stars from me.
Out of 200. It's that good.
It's that good. Go watch The Visitor. And then email us at podcast@bookclubformovies.com, or you can find us on Facebook and Twitter, or just skip all those. Go straight to Patreon, where we now exist and are trying to make a go at this. Please have a look. We've posted another podcast there. In fact, Matt's posted another podcast there, so maybe I should let you take that announcement or a synopsis, or what is it?
It's too late. You've already done
okay.
it. It's the
Have I?
Patreon exclusive first episode of Book Club for Movies After Dark has been released. It's on Suicide Squad. I had a friend, our friend Jake, popped on to the show to chat with me about that. So if you're a patron, check that out. It is the first episode of the season. I kind of have a loose plan for how long the season's going to go. It's going to be longer than probably most other things, but the plan currently is I've got the season, and once the full season is fully released, then eventually it'll go free to play and people can check those out. But patrons right now, patron exclusive After Dark episodes, so that's coming. We got a couple of other things kind of in the hopper, so pay attention, keep it up. We got some comic book stuff coming up. We got some live shows that are in the planning stages too. So we'll look forward to having all of you yell at us in real time. That'll be cool. And tell us how stupid we are. Just me. It's just me. Everybody be like, Ryan, you're so smart.
I highly doubt it.
And why? Look at Matt. He's a dingo.
But I do agree. Come check it out. And you can find us even on Discord talking about some of this. I feel like the conversation has been getting going a little bit on there this week as well. So
yeah,
plenty of places to find us and speak with us. Matt, do you have any other movies that you want to talk about for the rest of the show?
Yeah. So I did want to mention, I had never seen this documentary that Beth saw actually, like, when it came out in like 1984. It's called Another State of Mind. And it's about, it's a documentary following Youth Brigade and Social Distortion during an early tour. Youth Brigade had never been on tour at this point, or not to this degree. And Social D had been around for like 3 years. So they had a little bit more, of a following than Youth Brigade at the time. So the movie is kind of interesting because it very clearly starts off as a Youth Brigade documentary, and it morphs into a bit more of a Social D thing because Mike Ness ends up being just impossibly interesting. And he kind of was, he was so young, writing songs that he is one of those musicians that legitimately, like, you may not like Social D, you may not even know who they are, but some of the songs he wrote felt like they were beyond ahead of his time, I think. And he wrote things, you listen to the lyrics, The Story of My Life, man. That's a like well-written song. It's a very well-written story that's simple and effective.
Dude, the thing about, I'm sorry, I'm Mike Ness is a one-of-a-kind dude because I feel like he was born, like it was just inside of him. Because listening to him talk now, like obviously he has an incredible breadth of knowledge when it comes to music and guitars, especially, and stuff like that. But given how young he was at that time, and we all have some of this to some extent, we all know 12-bar blues, even if we don't know 12-bar blues,
Sure.
But not only did he have that like on the next level, just born, like just in his DNA, he has an authenticity to him that, I mean, again, you'll see even just when you hear him talk about anything, he's never been more than he is, even when that is a platinum selling artist, like he's one of a kind dude. Anyway,
he is. Well, and this movie, Another State of Mind, it was super interesting. The version that we saw of it was actually like, it wasn't super great quality, but considering the film itself was not good quality in 1982.
Sure.
What I watched was amazing. It was super clean.
Oh, cool. Is this a out and out remaster, or is it just?
I don't know. This was we found it type thing.
Oh, okay. Where did you find it? Type thing. Shudder. Just okay. All right. Sorry. Continue.
So, anyways,
that's a movie that's not like these are movies that don't get picked up, and somebody else has to preserve them. And
somebody must have, because this is one that I had never seen it. I didn't know anything about it. Beth specifically asked me about. She was like, "I really want to watch it. I haven't seen this since it came out."
Right.
And it was cool, man. The music for the, if you like Youth Brigade, if you like Social D, of course it's not going to be an issue. There's some great bits with they're not Fugazi at that point. It's
Minor Threat.
Minor Threat. Yes, thank you.
I'll edit that part out where you forget what Minor Threat is.
I didn't forget. I just couldn't remember the name of the band.
We can't take the hit. That would seriously.
You know what the real kicker is? You know who Beth's son is named after?
Oh, really? Oh, duh. Ian
MacKaye.
Of course.
It's a combination of Ian MacKaye and Ian, whatever his name is, from Echo and the Bunnymen, and I can't think of his name either.
Oh, Ian McCullough. You got me there. Oh,
Ian McCullough.
I'll edit the part out where I didn't know that one for the sake of our show.
Yeah, please do. So yeah, there's a great bit where they're in Washington and they're staying at like Ian MacKaye's place, and there's video, like there's some really great rehearsal video of Minor Threat playing, and it's like
nice.
And as soon as it kicked off, I knew the song, and Beth is like singing along, like, yeah, it's just the coolest thing. It is really cool. The doc is great. There's some really interesting stuff in it about how like it's fascinating watching 1982 punk bands make a decision to, we're going to take 16 people on a bus and we'll see how it works out. And by the end of it, it legitimately is like half of every band, the roadies have ditched. Half of Youth Brigade is like, no, I'm out. I can't sit on this bus with these people anymore. Mike Ness he's a little pissed off because like his part of his band is left. They've gone back home, so he's just there.
He's probably at this point fairly strung out. It's possible.
Watching that movie, he certainly seemed like there are moments where it's possible for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's interesting, right? Like it's fascinating hearing how he was like, I don't know, man. I just want to finish the shows and keep playing. And part of some of Youth Brigade are the same way, and the others are like, no, I'm done. This is like, there's 16 of us on a bus. I'm out. A couple of the guys were like, no, I'm just gonna crash at Micaiah's house and wait till I've got enough money and I'm out. So like, it's fascinating watching the thing kind of implode. Yeah. But then they also walk back and they go, look, we're like the very end of the movie is Youth Brigade coming home and going, yeah, like $1,000 in debt, but wouldn't have traded it for the world. It was the best. Like, it was the worst, but it was great. And
that's nice.
I think the movie, I think the doc does a really good job of giving that off. Like, you get that feeling. I feel like this is a great movie, similar actually kind of to Decline. Like, this would go real well with Decline of the Western Civilization 3, I think, actually. Not so much the first one, but the third one, because of the parallels between the homelessness and the struggle that we get in that third movie, which I think is a little more stark than in the first one. And this, I think it's like, it's a really interesting comparison. I think they'd go well together.
Yes, but in my head, it's part and parcel with the first Decline, because there were, of course. Chronologically probably also, but also, yes. But also at that time, I've never seen this film, but the reason I know so much about it is because there were a very small stable of films that were talked about so much. And I came pretty late to the punk scene. Obviously, I'm not, by any means this 80s wave, but some of it still lingered, obviously. And this stable of movies that we all talked about to the point where we knew them, no matter if we had seen them or not, was this, Another State of Mind, Suburbia, Decline, and there was one more that I'm not.
Animal Chin?
No. Skateboarding is different. That's different, but no, I get, for that reason, I would maybe pair it with the first one, but
no,
I see what you're saying. Yours is more reasoned. Mine is completely experiential.
No. I mean, the first one makes more sense from a logical perspective too, because the timing on the movies are closer too. Like, so the bands would cross paths more likely in that respect than
sure.
30 years later or whatever when 3 came out. But again, I go back to, I think 3 because of all of the things that occurred in 2, or in the first Decline, and then in this. Either way, man, they're great docs. They're super interesting. Really, really worth your time.
Yeah, cool. Anything else you want to talk about? I feel like you're winding up.
Nope. I think we're all good.
Okay. So come back next week. You can email us at podcast@bookclubformovies.com. Again, like we said, just go straight to Patreon. Just do it. Just go there. We thank you no matter what. Thank you. We love doing this. We love you. We'll see you next week.
Bye.